News and developments in Ocean County. Now, here's a report from Ocean County with Jack Lambert.
The ship's bell strikes for New Jersey's fastest growing county, the County of Ocean. Well, the first lecture in the basic photography course of the Toms River Camera Club will take place this evening, Tuesday, October 21st. Those who fail to register may still do so. The class will meet every Tuesday evening for 8 weeks in the grade school beginning at 7:30 p.m. There will be 2 contests, one in black and white and one in color slides, at this meeting this evening, October 21st. Regular meetings of the Camera Club are held the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of each month at 8 p.m. in Berry's store on Main Street in Toms River. And now Report from Ocean County is proud this morning to present as its guest the Reverend Father Lawrence W. Donovan of St. Joseph's Church, Toms River. Father Donovan, welcome to our microphones. And when did you enter the priesthood?
Good morning, Jack. I was ordained on the 1st of May in 1937 down here in the city of Trenton. Bishop Kiley was then the prelate, the Bishop of Trenton at the time.
Tell me, to which order do you belong?
Well, it's a secular order. There is no order, I should say. It's a secular priesthood. It differs very radically from the religious orders that we have around the country and, of course, through the world, insofar that we're primarily working among the people rather than in the schools and hospitals and so forth.
You have what amounts to a ministry of action and service, then?
That's right, sir.
How long has St. Joseph's Parish served the community here in Toms River, Father Lawrence?
Well, it goes way back, Jack. I think Father Kelly used to come and say Mass here back in 1873. Then in the following year, well, for the next 5 or 6 years, priests would come in occasionally. That is to say, maybe once a month, once every 2 months. But then the Father Giacchetti, he was stationed in Trenton, a Franciscan father, like the ones we have over here in Seaside Park, used to come to Rebecca Finn's home and say Mass there once every month in the wintertime and twice a month in the summertime. It seems that back in those days, this Mrs. Finn was not a Catholic, and yet she extended the courtesy of her home and her facilities to the priest. And the following year, a new church was built on her property and then finally moved over to the present site of the rectory, and that was in 1882. There's a little sidelight I'd like to bring out there.
Good enough.
You see that the original parish was Manchester or Lakehurst, and Mr. Martin Schwartz, who, by the way, is our oldest resident and oldest parishioner, would send over a horse to Manchester on Sundays and bring the priest over here to the little church at the site of the rectory. And this went on for, I imagine, for about 5 or 6 years.
Well, that's an interesting history of your parish. Martin Schwartz, Sr., is a good friend of ours, and his son, Martin, Jr., Fran Schwartz Pierce, and, of course, Ed Schwartz. Now, tell us about the magnificent new church and parochial school, which you opened recently here on Hooper Avenue in Toms River. What was the dedication date?
Well, the dedication date was the 15th of August of this year, of course. And it seems strange when you go back to the old church. It was built by Father Caulfield in 1903. Most of the people of that time thought the church was too large, and yet we find with the growing population here in Ocean County that our present church, I'm afraid, will be inadequate in a few years from now.
That's an interesting forecast of things to come. Now, who was the speaker on that happy occasion?
That was Father Fred Russell. He's a Vincentian father, who, by the way, has been promoted. He was the head of the philosophy department of Niagara University, and at the present time, when he went back to report this September, he's just been made head of the Alumni Association.
Tell us, how many pupils have you enrolled in the St. Joseph School right now?
At the present time, we have close to 400. We opened up, I think, with 398. And, of course, with the transient crowd that we have here, some of the naval personnel moved out. And I imagine the present time, I think it's 390, 389.
Which area do you serve, and how many grades of instruction are provided there at St. Joseph's?
Well, we take in practically the whole of Ocean County. We have children coming from Seaside Park, the Heights, from Lavalette, from Brenton Woods, which of course is Silverton. We have a few coming from Lakehurst. We have, Lakewood rather. We have about 44 from Lakehurst. We have a few from around Lanoka Harbor. So actually we go down from Barnegat to Silverton, from almost out to Cassville to the Bay.
Tell me, Father Lawrence, do you serve as principal of the school yourself?
Well, theoretically, yes. Actually, no. We have Sister Eucharia, the good nuns of the Sisters of St. Dominic. They've been running the school now for the last 19 years. In fact, come September, it'll be 20 years that they've been here in Toms River.
Do you have a plan for a high school sometime in the future to serve this fastest-growing township in New Jersey, the township of Dover?
Oh, there's no question about it. In fact, when we put up this new school, many of the people thought that we ought to convert it immediately into a high school and expand our present facilities down the old church and the old school to accommodate the grammar school crowd.
I'm sure our listeners this morning would like to know something of your interests outside of school. What's your own hobby, Father Donovan?
Well, to be perfectly frank with you, we don't have too much time for hobbies.
I can well imagine.
Things have been piling up, but I like athletics very, very much. Don't have too much time for reading, but I do I did notice, I should say, on that first announcement you made today about the camera club. That was my first love.
Well, good for you. Tell me, which stations did you serve before coming here to Toms River?
Well, when I was first ordained, I was 3 years in Bordentown. That's a little town about 7 miles below Trenton. From there, I went up to Perth Amboy and St. Mary's Parish, which of course had a high school. We had charge of athletics up there and really enjoyed working with the school children. From there, I went to Dunellen up on the Watchung Mountain, by the Watchung Mountains. From there down to Trenton. Each of these places I served as a curate or an assistant for about 2 to 2.5 years.
You've had a good experience around the Garden State. Well, now, one of our former guests here on Reports from Ocean County, Mrs. Robert A. Lederer, is president of the Society of St. Miriam Teresa, the Court, Society of Your Women. How many women belong to this group?
Well, this is the Catholic Daughters of America, and they have about 120 members. Incidentally, we're having induction of new members this evening.
Good enough. Well, now, what are some of the benefactions of this group in your widespread parish?
Well, primarily this group is a social group. They have been, their primary objective, of course, is to show themselves not only good citizens, but primarily ladies of God. To show forth the works, the good works that are in them, to help out in many of the parish activities. They have been very, very generous, particularly in helping us with our new church. They have bought many of the fixtures that are in there now.
That's a splendid expression that you use, women of God. Well, now all of us remember with great fondness your predecessor here in Toms River, Father Walsh, and we still see his picture from time to time in the Asbury Park Press, as well as seeing him downtown here in Toms River on his visits back. Tell us about the pioneer work he did in St. Joseph's Parish, will you please?
Well, I think it would take a whole day to try to express
I'm sure it would.
half the work that Father Walsh did here. I think he's one of the most remarkable characters that we've ever had in this section and maybe in the whole state. A man, certainly a man of God, who was devoted to the sick. His primary interest was education of the children, and through his efforts, of course, we know that the school was built in 1933. He traveled extensively up and down the streets of Toms River, and I don't think there's a man, woman, or child that didn't know Father Walsh, and regardless of creed or color, they were all friends of his. To go on with Father Walsh, I think it would take a whole day.
I'm sure that it would. Well, now this interview period is much too short for this interesting time that we're having here this morning at Fair Acres. I'm going to ask you a final question, if I may, Father Donovan. Ocean County is historically a homeland of religious people, with vast expansion for the many newcomers. Do you foresee a bright future for the work of God here in our midst?
Oh, definitely. In the last 3 years that I've been here, there has been a decided improvement in every way. First of all, we're getting more and more people from down here who appreciate our particular community, the climate, and so on. And I think that all these people are conscious, particularly the day of the atom bomb, of the Almighty watching over us. And I think more and more we're turning towards Him for help, for guidance, and assistance.
Reverend Father Lawrence W. Donovan, curate of St. Joseph's Church, Toms River, it's been a real pleasure to have you on our microphone here this morning and report from Ocean County. We now return you to the studios of station WJLK in Asbury Park and the happy, smiling voice of Dick Lewis.